There we go. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well, thanks. Actually, just finished up with work for the day. So
Right on.
yeah, I'm gonna do this live with you. Then I'm gonna work on my book for a little bit to end off the night and kind of relax, do some writing. How about you?
Cool. You're working on a book? I'm trying to figure out this tripod situation. Just give me a second.
Yeah, you're good. Um, yeah, I'm working on a book, which is actually the reason why um, I've been doing a lot of these lives lately and why I wanted to reach out to you because I think that we'll have a lot of stuff that we agree on. My book is mainly about movement, fasting, and lifestyle choices, and just kind of making fitness easy in a world where a lot of people make it really difficult.
Yeah.
Um, and so I did want to go on this live with you because we have that mutual. I don't want to say friend because I don't know him. He might be your friend, but
It
I
is.
just
It's a
know
brother.
him. Yeah, I just know him based on um, following his Instagram, and he's real big into fasting. So I did reach out to him, and he actually recommended me to you. So I wanted to ask you kind of what like tell everyone who's going to be watching this. I know there's not a lot of people on right now, but I'll repost this after we're done, and then I'll also post it to my YouTube channel. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself, kind of how you got started into like the movement and lifestyle industry, helping people to improve their um, lives, and kind of what keeps you going with that.
Yeah, for sure. First, I do want to say that it's almost beautiful to see how the more committed a person becomes on their own path, they find um, others who not only are the same but are so similar.
Right.
I'm on health and nutrition and fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I'm a big believer in simplicity and the kiss, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Um, and as for my story, I've always been, you could say, I've always been an athlete, into athletics, into whether it was boxing or basketball. And later on in my life, I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing and yoga as well. So I've always had a passion for uh, movement itself. Yeah, and I couldn't really pinpoint one thing that I was like, all right, like it's just basketball or it's just that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this one discipline. So what I have come to found through just this natural process of curiosity and discovery is that it's really all of movement that I am fascinated with. And um, any sort of possibility that the body has, I just got fascinated with it. I'm like, what can this body do? And what is this body capable of? And also that naturally led me into the simple things of nutrition, like fasting, which I know that you're a big fan of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and its ability to like heal injuries and just get you in a better headspace. So um, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's really refreshing to hear. And I actually really enjoyed the way that you articulated the fact that you were never really big into one thing, but it was actually many different things that you were very much into, which kind of led you to this point. Because I'm that way too. A lot of people will pick up on one style of lifting or like one hobby or one career path, and they're like, all right, this is my thing, and that's going to be the only thing that I do.
Hmm.
And if that's what you do and you're great at what you do, like more power to you. You know, not everyone has to have a bunch of things that they're into. But like for me, I've always been like, oh, this is interesting. Like I want to incorporate this into myself too, as well as, you know, X, Y, and Z things. So that was really refreshing to hear you say that. And the way that you said it, I thought was really well articulated. So thank you for that. And then I wanted to ask you how you got into fasting, because I'll do these live videos with fitness influencers all the time. Not all the time, but like probably about once a week on average. And a lot of them, you know, look great and they have a big following, but not a lot of them are really big into fasting. And even a few times on my live videos with these guys who are like really big time fitness influencers, like over 10,000 followers, they'll be like, why do you do that? Like, how does that even make sense that you could gain muscle and lose fat at the same time while fasting? Like, it doesn't compute. And to me, like, I'm like, wow, this is so crazy that the fitness industry still isn't catching on to this. Like, to me, it's such common sense. So I wanted to ask you how you got into that, especially in a space right now where when you tell the average person that you're fasting, their natural gut response is to be like, oh, you have an eating disorder. Like, there's something wrong with you. So how do you deal with that? But more importantly, because I'm kind of asking a lot of questions here, how did you get started into this, and what makes you like a big fan of it? Hopefully I'm not losing you here. I think I'm losing connection. We'll see if he hops back on here. We'll give him a second. He must have been having technical difficulties. If anyone has any questions or anything they want to type in the chat, go ahead and I'll address that while we're waiting for him to hop back on, see if he does. Maybe his phone died or something, so I'll give him a few minutes before I leave the live. Thank you, bro. You set this up actually, so hopefully he gets back on. We were just getting into the good stuff. Here we go.
Hey.
Hey, I thought your phone died.
Yeah, I don't know. Something happened. Yeah. It just like reset by itself. So,
No
uh,
problem. And
yeah.
that's the beauty of modern day phones, man. When I go back and repost this, I'll literally just crop that little part out, so it'll be like you never left.
Okay,
What's the last
awesome.
thing? What's the last thing you heard me say?
So, you were asking me how I got into fasting,
Yeah,
um, and how the average person, when they hear something like fasting, they think you have an eating disorder.
yeah.
Uh, And you're right. I've found that as a personal trainer, to be honest with you, I focus on my clients, especially the ones that don't know me through social media and don't really know what I'm about. Is that I don't really talk about nutrition much with them. I just propose like, would you like guidance with nutrition? And then from there I can give them my suggestions and guide them through it. But at the front end I don't, because nutrition seems to be a topic that is like politics, for example.
Yeah.
You know, they're very similar in the sense that um, people are very emotional about it, and
Oh yeah.
they're very like, this is my team, like this is what I do, and so uh, they protect it and they identify with it so much.
Yeah.
So um, it's very common to see that. And actually, the first time I did fast, I did get a lot of backlash on what I was doing. I was sharing from this place of joy that I found this amazing thing that worked,
Right.
and the backlash that I got was, what are you two what are you doing to yourself,
Yeah.
and you should eat, you're gonna die, all these, preconceived notions. And that's why I become even a bigger fan on the philosophy that meditation is the foundation before fasting even,
Yeah.
um, just to quiet down the mental chatter and the programming that people have, that they're not even aware that it's programming,
Exactly. Hmm.
right? Like, how many of our thoughts are actually ours? How many of our thoughts are our parents or our society's programming, and so on? um and when you just sit with yourself in silence, you get to like assess that a little bit. um to get back into to tell you the story of how I got into fasting myself, was actually the beginning of the lockdown. So March 2020 happened, and the world shut down. The world ended. So at that time, I had an injury that nobody was able to figure out. I was seeing a physiotherapist. I was seeing a chiropractor. I was seeing other um, other personal trainers who like specialized in pain management. I really tried seeing everybody under the sun, and because I was in this pain, this like sort of desperate seeking energy was strong in me, right? Where I wanted to find an answer. And when the world shut down and I didn't have access to those practitioners,
Yeah.
a beautiful thing happened where I had to bring all that attention that I was directing outwards, seeking for help outwards, into
Hmm.
inwards. Um, and I was just actually laying in bed one night, and one of my friends had posted a video on his channel, and he just mentioned it by passing, like, do a 3-day water fast and see how your body heals. And he wasn't even talking about fasting; he was talking about something else. And
Hmm.
my mind just like clinged on to that. I was like, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. I can't see a physiotherapist. I can't see a chiro. I can't see anybody of these, all these people that were trying to help me. Um, so let me try fasting. Like, what do I have to lose? So I I decided to do a 3-day water fast, and um, my first day, I would say, was like relatively easy, and then my second day was where all the juicy stuff happened, where I oscillated between the states of feeling hungry and being like cranky and hangry from the hunger,
Yeah.
and then the pain increasing in my leg, in my injury, and then getting a lot of energy. Or sorry, getting a lot of energy and then the pain increasing, and then I go back to the beginning where I get hungry again, get cranky. So that cyclical thing was just kept happening the whole day.
Yeah.
Um, of the hunger, the crankiness. I get the energy, so I start walking, and then the pain comes back tenfold. And one of these cycles, I go out for a walk. I go for like a good 20-30 minute walk, and the pain increased a lot. So I decided to go back home and then just lay down and do nothing. So just lay down, watch movies, whatever. And the pain was so um, like strong that it felt like I had just sprained my ankle again playing basketball 7 years ago. It was the exact same feeling. And the next day I woke up and like the pain was like 60% gone. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is possible, but it worked. And not only that, like the third day I felt so good I decided to push it to a fourth day. And the third and fourth day I just had endless energy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was it. And then since then I was hooked. Started researching about it, looking up what autophagy is, and just learning more about it.
Yeah. That's how you know you're down the rabbit hole of fasting. Once you start learning about those autophagy benefits, man, it's like, what do you mean this has anti-aging benefits? And it
Yeah,
actually does, but you would never know about that otherwise because it's so suppressed by the fitness industry and the health industry because they can't make money off fasting.
exactly. And I think that's why like the two big things that are like very dear to my heart are fasting and meditation, because
Yeah,
nobody can sell you on them.
for sure.
There's a product to sell, like, like here, this is, fasting is and meditation is simply doing nothing and reducing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what made me fall in love with them even more.
Yeah. So I'm definitely right there with you. I had a very similar experience. Well, I've been fasting since 2017, but
Wow.
when the lockdown happened, and I remember when you went to the grocery store, you could only get like certain things to eat. Like I couldn't get steak and chicken breast anymore because people bought them all in bulk and like they just
Mhm.
weren't there. So I remember um in that it had to have been the spring of 2020, around about the same time that you started fasting. I was like, well, there's no foods here that I want to eat at that point. I was just doing intermittent fasting. I was like, well, I'm going to start practicing prolonged fasting. I'm going to start doing dry fasting. And it was amazing. I did a 3 day dry fast. So a 72-hour dry fast around that time. So that was the early spring of 2020. Um, and it's crazy because when I first started fasting back in like 2017, I honestly hated it. Like my first ever fasting experience was terrible. I was like, this is miserable. I have a headache. I'm never going to do this again. But I stuck it out because honestly, like I I liked the way that I felt when I skipped breakfast. So just that like small intermittent fasting window. And back then, back in like 2017, I had like some health knowledge. Like, I mean, I have a bachelor's degree in health education. So like I wasn't like totally ignorant, but at the same time, I didn't have the sense to put two and two together that obviously I didn't feel good after I ate breakfast because I was eating this like sugar filled garbage cereals every single morning to start my day. And then I
Mhm.
wondered why I was so like sluggish and irritable throughout the day. I felt like crap. And then I wouldn't be able to eat a satiating lunch or dinner. Like it was because of this garbage I ate for breakfast. Like it's literally how you start your day. So naturally, it's going to carry over into the rest of your day. If you start a race by falling flat on your face when everyone else takes off sprinting, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Unless you drastically change the rest of the race, then that's going to affect how the rest of the race goes. The same principle applies.
Right.
Um, so fasting for me has been something that has absolutely
Can you
changed.
go a little bit deeper on that analogy? What do you mean by that?
What, the race one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, I used running the race, and this could be used in any different aspect, but I just like the race one. So the way that you start the race, you like let's just use a 100-meter dash in track for example, because I was a sprinter in high school. I ran hurdles actually. the way that you want to start a race, you want to do some dynamic warm up, some high knees, some like butt kickers, for example, get all
Mhm.
warmed up, get the blood going into your muscles. Um, you want to make sure that you're in your blocks by the time that they're getting ready to start. You want to make sure that you have a good stance in your blocks. Your feet are where you want them to be so that you can get a fast start coming out of the blocks. Um, you want to keep your head low when you come out of the blocks so that you're lean forward so you get a faster acceleration to start the race. So there's a lot of things that you need to do to make sure that the beginning of the race is the best part of the race, because that's when it starts. It's the most important part. You want to get a fast start.
Mhm.
And again, I could use this analogy for like your work day. For like if you're in sales, for example, you could use a similar analogy. But the reason why this relates to fitness, and especially to like starting your day, is because um, all the same principles apply. Like if you start your day by eating essentially candy, like you're eating junk food for breakfast if you're eating cereal. I would say a
Mhm.
vast majority of cereals are junk foods. Like literally, if you walk through the like breakfast aisle in any grocery store, you're going to see stuff that is like absolutely blows your mind. And it's crazy because the average person thinks that it's the most important meal of the day, and they think that it's actually genuinely healthy for them. Like you'll walk through the cereal aisles and you'll see stuff like Jolly Ranchers cereal,
Mhm.
Reese's Puff cereal, Lucky Charms, like the stuff that's not
Sugars and
healthy for
chemicals.
you.
Yeah.
Like it's such a toxic way to start your day. And
Yeah.
just like starting in your track race, the beginning of your track race is, the most important part of the race. Starting your day physically is going to be the most important part of your day, because then the rest of your day is going to follow suit.
Mhm. Right. Right. So you're saying because like you're you're like slowing things down in a sense because you're taking time to eat and breakfast instead of just waking up and going. Is that what like you're
Yeah,
saying?
so partially that is correct. Partially it's what I'm getting at, but the most important thing that I'm getting at is like not only are you starting your day off not the best, you're starting your day off probably the worst that you
Mhm.
possibly could by eating a whole bunch of toxic junk to begin with, to start your day. Because when it comes to fasting, the way that our bodies were created, when you're fasted and you're doing work, whether it's mentally or physically, your body thinks, oh, he's doing this, like working hard to get to the next meal. So we need to um, pick up the pace here.
Yeah.
Um, we need to retain muscle. We need to burn fat that we're using for storage so that we can give him energy to do the things that he's doing so that he can get to his next meal.
Right.
But when you eat to start your day, those things aren't happening.
Right. 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 Yeah. 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 You're there isn't a reason for your body to basically like kickstart and go because there isn't the next meal per se.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And another thing that you said that I liked, is a lot of people's like diets. I guess you could say I don't even think of fasting as a diet. I think of it as a lifestyle. But
Right.
a lot of people's diets, to them, it's like their religious beliefs. Like you can't talk to some people about their
Yeah.
lifestyle diets because like, and I'm gonna pick on some people right now, and I know I'm generalizing, but like vegans, vegetarians, people who follow keto, like the ketogenic diet,
Hmm.
most of the people that do those, it's like a cult kind of, like these are
Yeah.
these are people that are so aggressively like it makes me like sometimes think twice about talking to people about it, because it's like, do I really want to get into an argument, is what this is going to turn into, about fitness? Because I do believe that fasting is the best way. I believe it's the way that our bodies were created to operate on.
Hmm.
But like I said, I mean, some people will just get absolutely like, it's like political beliefs.
Yeah. 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 I mean, look, anytime that people identify with their actions and their
Yes.
behaviors so much, right?
Yeah.
And
Well said.
for some people, they might have tried those diets and they've gotten some results from it, and because of that, they also start to identify with it even more, right? Like some person might have tried the keto diet, and it's they lost some weight, they lost a bunch of weight, and they feel great or whatever, and so it becomes that much more of a religious belief to them, right? Of like, oh well, this thing, I got this thing, and it's worked for me.
Yeah.
You can't, you're devaluing my experience, and all that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
and in this day and age, there's we all live in our bubble in a sense, more than ever.
Yeah.
It's and people become less open to just other avenues. You know what I mean? Like I always humble myself in the fact that all I know is I know nothing, and if somebody's got something to say, then I'll hear them out,
Yeah.
right? Which is something that is like it's missing a lot in our society.
Yeah. And it's really easy for people to stay in those bubbles now. And it's almost kind of like encouraged, especially by social media, for example, because you follow the accounts that you agree with. And it's just like,
Mhm.
oh, yes. So, like, this is like my little bubble is the best way to put it. And nothing outside of this bubble is right.
Right. Yeah, yeah. So you got into prolonged fasting during 2020 as well, or 2017?
No. So I actually um, started intermittent fasting in 2017 and I
Okay.
progressively started playing with it um, over the years. I think I started doing prolonged fasting actually in 2019, but never to the degree that I did during like the lockdowns for COVID.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's when
Yeah.
I really started going hard, basically.
Yeah, there's a beautiful thing when that happens. I mean, there's a silver lining to everything, right?
Hmm.
And I think the lockdowns advanced, for the lack of a better term, some people in such unique ways, because when you limit certain things, um, you open up other you there's less things you can hide from, right? When you're just telling people like that's it, stay in your homes, you're not allowed to do anything, um, all the entertainment and things that you usually have and do are gone.
Yeah.
All of a sudden a person is at home looking at the four walls, looking at the people they're with, and asking themselves, like, do I like what I've built? Do I like who I'm with? Do I like who I am?
Hmm.
And for some people that caused a lot of mental illness and so on, and I have a lot of compassion for that. And for others it caused them to evolve and go like, well, this thing is closed, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Right. And there's a beautiful thing um, when somebody asks themselves a question, um, with a natural like curiosity and devotion. It's like doors open up in such a beautiful way.
So I agree with that 100%. And I really like the way that you said that again, because the thing is, when it came to like the lockdowns, people were forced to take that like inner look inside, which most people were not doing, to be like, okay, well, do I like myself? Do I like what I'm doing? Am I happy with myself overall? And like you said, there were a lot of people um, who just couldn't really handle that. They couldn't handle that
Mhm.
looking in on themselves, and they couldn't handle not liking the answer that they were given by themselves. And like you said, that could have caused some people to have mental illness. Some people, I know personally, never really recovered from that. They're still like in that lockdown mode, I want to say. And like you, I have a lot of sympathy for that, and I do really feel for those people. But the answers are out there. I think in a few years we will really see the catastrophic events that this had on people, especially on children.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's the mental health stuff is probably at an all-time high, without any avenues to really like help ourselves with it.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
And to relate this back to what we're talking about is when you are fasting, this is something that not only um, is like healthy for your body physically, which I know is like a very surface level way that we lead into it with introducing it to new people, but
Mhm.
is also a great way to improve yourself mentally, spiritually, and emotionally as well. And I remember one of the reasons why I really wanted to start doing prolonged fasting is because it's all over the Bible. And I was doing intermittent fasting at the time when I was reading the Bible. I'm a Christian.
Mhm.
And I remember seeing it all over the place in the Bible. And I'm thinking, why would an infinite creator want his people to be fasting all the time before battles, like days of fasting, religious fasting for like holidays? Um, and there are many spiritual benefits as well as, like I said, like physical benefits, and emotionally, um and I'm sure you've noticed that too, especially when you were doing your 4-day water fast. So
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, I was leading into this, um kind of the mental and emotional and spiritual things that you went through when you were doing that 4-day water fast.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than realizing what you truly need, right? And for me, that's where I think a lot of the excitement came from with fasting. Um, a lot of our things, a lot of our relationship with food and money are survival, instinct. So there's this fear around them.
Yeah.
And when you realize you don't really need that much, your relationship with money changes because money is in a sense a fuel to make choices, to buy these groceries and so on.
Yes.
So the relationship with money changes, and your relationship with food changes, and so you realize that there's not much that you need, as my brother Sekou just mentioned. Just air, water, and a little bit of food is all we need. And I mean, I couldn't agree more. um, and to experience that, not to just only like know it intellectually,
Uh-huh.
it's it's a whole nother level, right? You go, and I think what made it simple for me, or simpler, or easier in a sense, um, was embracing the quote unquote roller coaster, or the emotions. On the second day when I felt hangry and cranky
Oh
and
yeah.
all those things, I didn't really um, judge myself for these emotions. And so in a sense I allowed them to pass through, and and it was just easier to laugh at them, of like, oh, this is just what is happening, this is just part of the process. um and through embracing those emotions and going through that roller coaster, um I tapped into what I would say, like, this feeling of like endless joy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be like the best way to describe it, like peace and endless joy.
That's great that you were able to have the ability to kind of know that the emotions that you were feeling during that state were going to pass, that was just kind of a roller coaster that you were on and you just rode the wave. Because I know when I do longer fasts and I do feel those, still I do have a tendency to be hypercritical of those. Like I'll be like, why is this a thought that I'm having right now?
Mm,
Is this one of my thoughts? Is this like a media thought? And if so, like, is this something that I need to work on about myself, or is this something that like I'm allowing external factors to get to me? You know what I mean? Because I
right.
do tend to overthink things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, there's a benefit to both. Looking into things. Um, I guess I naturally have just uh, maybe a sense of ease or faith that whatever I'll like, I want to learn, or I need to learn,
Mm-hmm.
will be there, available, like ready for me when I need it, and there isn't an effort per se that I have to put into. you know. But I guess like that's just my approach to things.
Yeah, and that's great. When you do talk to other people about fasting, this is something that we might actually not disagree. This is something that we actually might not agree on. When you talk to people about fasting and they tell you that they're interested, bless you,
Thank you.
um, do you tell them to kind of start the same way that you did, just kind of jump straight into a 4 day wet fast? Or like, what are some pointers that you give them?
Um, I mean, I always say like baby steps and easy does it. You know, anytime we're trying to go to too big of an extreme of like jump into it, sometimes that can be like the mind wanting some big result. You
We
know,
problem with that as a society, man, especially
yeah,
like instant gratification. We need it right now.
yes. You know, like in our industry, there's transformations. You know, this he only looked like this only 6 months ago. You know, and so there is this sort of there can be this urgent need to get results right away, get results right away,
Yeah.
and to get results right away, like just dive in, go full in, like 7 days, 14 days, nobody can, you know. But sometimes that just causes unnecessary suffering, you know. And when you just take the baby steps, it's such a just a path of least resistance in a sense, you know. Like life doesn't have to be as much of a grind as maybe our programming wants it to be.
Yeah. I like the word programming that you used because it's not natural for us to think that. We're very much inundated, um, especially in the fitness industry. They're like, you have to go to the gym 6 or 7 days a week. You have to eat out of Tupperware 5 or 6
Hmm.
times a day, chicken and rice only, no snacks, no junk food ever. And it's just like so blatantly unrealistic. And not to mention, like, most of the people that are giving that advice are using steroids, so they're like not doing it the same way that people who are just natural lifters and eaters are doing it. So like, yeah, that might work for them if they're juicing to go to the gym 6 or 7 times a week and eat out of Tupperware, 6 or 7 times a day. But for the average person who's not using gear, like, that is not necessarily going to have the same effects on them. But because these, bodybuilders and professional athletes, not that all professional athletes are using steroids, but most bodybuilders are, because these guys look the best, the majority of, like, I want to say just like regular Joe Schmo like lifters are going to be the people who look up to these guys, and naturally they're going to take their advice when really their advice might not be the best for them.
Yeah, um, I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about health in a sense, right? That's what we're claiming to preach, but that's also what they're claiming to preach. And and I think part of it is we look at somebody maybe big and we assume that that is somebody who is strong and healthy,
Mm-hmm.
but that is simply our projection, right? That is our assumption because they look a certain way, that they must feel a certain way or they must be a certain way.
Yeah,
Um, but like you said, a lot of those bodybuilders are using steroids, and there's all these other factors that are going into that. And you might like a person might think that they look at that person and they're like, oh, I want to look like that.
yeah,
But if they knew what that person felt like, the average like IFBB pro bodybuilder is like using like 8 pillows just to sleep because they're so uncomfortable in their own body. It's like, do you really want that, like at the cost of just some like big muscles?
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Most people don't know,
Hmm.
and not only that, but like the bodybuilders, for example, those guys only really look like that for a very small period of time throughout the year, and then they kind of let themselves go when it's not competition season, because
Right.
it's so difficult to like maintain that type of physique, even if you are using steroids. But the whole reason I brought that up is because um, we like people that are hip to the fitness industry or just like to look up that type of information. We're inundated by that type of advice because those
Mm-hmm.
people have the largest audience. They have the biggest voice.
Mm-hmm.
So when you ask someone that is essentially a slave to their fitness how they're able to do what they do, they might tell you honestly, like, oh yeah, I go to the gym 6 or 7 days a week. I eat out of Tupperware 6 or 7 times a day. And that to them, they don't think they're giving bad advice. And I'm not claiming that they are. However, most people, like well over 90% of people, they just can't do that
Right.
on a day-to-day basis for the rest of their life. It's not a lifestyle. Then you
Yeah.
crash and burn.
Yeah. 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 No, no, it's not. It's not. It's not sustainable. It's taking up like.
Uh-oh. I think I'm losing him again. Must be having phone problems again. We'll see if he can rejoin here in a second.
Hey. Okay. I'm back. At the end of the day, like, what was I saying? Oh, at the end of the day, that kind of lifestyle is not sustainable. It takes up too much effort and energy. It's not really um, necessary. And what we want is our health and our energy so that we can do more of what we love, not so that it takes up all of our time and
Yeah.
we're having all these things and food and Tupperware and you know what I mean. Like we want to have like a tonic effect with our health. Have a little bit of put in a little bit of energy, a little bit of effort, so that it gives us a lot more back, and not have it be consuming us. And yeah, I think that's where like the fitness industry is lacking big time. They're making people believe that you've got to go like all in on this and devote everything to it, um, and it's just simply not true and not necessary.
100%. When you left that last time, my layout changed. I can't see you on here anymore.
Oh,
Everybody type,
okay.
everybody type in the chat if you can see him in here.
Can you guys see me? Hello?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
You can't see me. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So I can hear you, but I can't see you. I know if I end the video,
Okay, let me try doing this.
yeah, try to leave and come back in. Oh, never mind. Everybody's saying they can see both of us.
Okay, they could.
There we
They
go.
see.
Now you're back in.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
So we
Um,
talked about some great stuff when it comes to that. The last thing that I was going to bring up is I did want you to touch on some of the stuff that you're doing as far as movement goes, because I see from your profile that's something that you're really big on. So if you could kind of touch base on that, and
on the movement stuff.
yeah, the movement and lifestyle movement stuff that you are talking about on your Instagram.
Yeah. So one of the other things I realized, within uh, after the lockdowns and after having injuries and all that kind of stuff, is that um, really like to put it in very short and simple is that there is no savior. There is no healer, there is no doctor. And what is the healer or the doctor is yourself and your natural curiosity for knowledge, and to apply that knowledge, more importantly. And after having, these injuries, and still having them a little bit be like nagging after the fasting, although the fasting like helped a lot, I would say the last like 20-30% was recognizing that your body is like a language or like an instrument. Nobody can really do that for you. Nobody can essentially like fix it for you. Like a physiotherapist can help with acute injuries here and there, but even if you look at like genuine, authentic physiotherapists, they're not hooking you up to, like, at least the ones that I respect and respect their opinion and seek their knowledge. They're not hooking me up to machines of like, okay, we're gonna put this like electric thing on your shoulder and it's gonna help heal it or whatever. It's like the physiotherapists that I looked up to were the ones that told me like, okay, well, this is what's happening with your body, and these are the exercises that you need to do, and so on. And that is my approach to movement with myself and all my clients. Is I tell them like, hey, look, if you commit to me for like a year, you're not gonna need me after this, because I'm gonna teach you the human body like I'm teaching you a language. Right? First, you're learning the letters, then you're learning to put words together, and you're forming sentences and paragraphs and so on. And then after that, you're just proficient in the language, and you have a sense of awareness over what good movement feels like, of what your body's feeling. You're connected to your body, and so when something comes up, you'll be more equipped to deal with it, and you won't have of like, what is going on with me. And because you don't have that awareness and that language to know what is going on with you,
Right.
it's you seek something from the outside. It's almost like when you feel something and you try to find that word for it, and then somebody says that word and you're like, yes. you know uh,
Yes. Hmm.
that's it. And it's because you just didn't have the language to express that.
Yeah. I love that. It's kind of like being in a sense of you are your own doctor. You know what's wrong with your body, and that's something that I've learned, especially over the past couple years. It's really refreshing to be able to be like, oh, I have a stomach ache or heartburn or a headache, and I know exactly why, and I know how to fix it, as opposed to being like, oh, I have a stomach ache, heartburn, or headache. I better take some drugs. I better take Tylenol or something, which in essence is just like putting a mask over it. It's not even really healing it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
um,
it's like you have a change oil sign in your car, and you just turn off the light that you need to change your oil, and you're like, all right,
yes,
I'm good. I don't need to change the oil sign anymore.
exactly, 100%. But again, we live in a society where that is just the quick and easy fix, and that's just what most people want to do. So, how do we, having the platforms that we do, how do we teach people um, kind of to be their own doctor, as opposed to putting a band-aid over the bullet hole and just using drugs and like pharmaceuticals um, to mask their problems, as opposed to actually dealing with them?
Well, first there has to be a willingness to
Exactly.
to entertain that possibility. Some people have the opinion of a doctor or something outside of themselves, that is going to fix them. Somebody, that on such a pedestal that they go like, that's what they're meant for. What job are they going to have if they don't do that? And they know better, and so like I can't learn this stuff, and
Yeah.
and so they don't even entertain the possibility that um, you could heal yourself, you could learn your own body, you could um, develop this awareness to essentially like be be your own healer, and so on. So first there has to be a willingness to entertain that possibility. And once that possibility is entertained, um, I think from our end, I would say it's it's exploring. It's exploring with curiosity,
Yeah.
right? With no agenda or preconceived notions.
Hmm.
You know, like part of the philosophy of all I know is I know nothing is I try everything, right? Sure, you have a container in, or some beliefs of like, you know what, I'm only going to try things that are natural. I'm only going to try things. You have some boundaries and containers,
Yeah.
but for the most part, the natural curiosity to delve into knowledge, to ask questions, to seek, um, yeah, I would say that that is really the solution.
Yeah, dude, I agree 100%. There has to be a willingness to learn. Um, no matter what we do or say, no matter how much someone else could benefit from the things that we could teach them, if they don't have a willingness to learn or change, there is nothing we can do. But what we can do is show them how easy and obtainable this is. And that's why I wanted to write the book that I'm writing. And that's why I wanted to. Start this the YouTube channel and the Instagram that I have now, because I know there's a lot of people, especially in the fitness industry, who want to start YouTube channels and fitness Instagrams because they just want to show off. They want to show what they look like shirtless or sell some workout programs, which is great. You know what I mean? Like if you could sell a workout program and like help someone to build the physique that they want, like that's freaking awesome. But I do think that we have a lot of people out here in the fitness industry that are just out for the attention, as
Mhm.
opposed to out to help people. And I just want to show people how genuinely easy and obtainable it is if you just switch it to a lifestyle as opposed to thinking about it as like, oh, this is a diet, or like, oh, this is a workout plan that I have to follow. Like, no, it needs to be a part of your life. And once it is,
Mhm.
and you have that willingness, like you said, um, that you want to make it a part of your life, then I mean that's I don't want to even say that's half the battle. That is the battle. Like that's literally it. Once you
Right.
do that, you're set.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when you see a rocket go into space, or a plane, the most effort that is required is inertia. It's the beginning,
Yeah, yeah, good
and
point.
and I think a lot of people they experience that and they become a prisoner of that moment,
Yes.
and they're going like, well, this is the effort that I'm going to require the whole time, and it's like, no, just be patient, stick with it, and what you'll start to realize is that you enjoy it because it feels good to move your body and be healthy.
I know,
It's
right?
no longer a chore per se.
Hmm. The best I feel all day is right after my workout. And I only go to the gym 3 times a week. But the best I feel is right afterwards, man. I feel like, I mean, it's the way that we're supposed to feel. I feel good. I like the way my body feels. And of course, I stretch after each of my workouts. Because, most people don't, and then they'll get like real stiff and sore. But because I stretch after each of my workouts, I just love the way my body feels after. Oh, yo, shout out to Alfie Kingdom real quick. He's in here. Um, but also, yeah, dude, just the way that my body feels after each workout, absolutely amazing. And it's crazy because if let's say I skip a week, like let's say I get hurt or something and I have to skip a week, the way that my body feels if I've been lethargic all day is absolutely terrible.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, we're in a body. We're meant to move. One of the things that I tell my clients is that it's not just the hour that we spend together or the 3 hours per week that we spend together. You're in your body the whole day. So it's like, um, be aware of that. Doesn't mean that you're working out all the time. It's just that you're more like connected with your body. And this, I mean, there's nothing like a hard workout too. You know, it's so just there's a primal satisfaction to it for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. It's such a great feeling. And I don't know about you, but I go for a PR every single workout, on every single lift. And I can do that because I only go to the gym 3 times a week. If I was going every single day, maybe going for a PR every single day on every single lift wouldn't be the best. Because you can shoot, you can, what am I trying to say? Essentially, your central nervous system gets shot. Um, but it's such a great feeling. Even if I just match my PR, which I can typically do every workout, it's still just such a great feeling to be able to do like weighted dips with 100 pounds attached or weighted chin ups with over 100 pounds attached. I mean, I love closed chain movements because they um, build muscle mass better, um, as opposed to like free range
I'm gonna
movement.
explain that to people. Close chain movements.
Yeah, so closed chain movements are
Yeah.
where body moves as opposed to like your hands or feet moving. So examples of this would be like squats or deadlifts or pull ups, chin ups, weighted dips, because your hands or feet stay in the same spot, but your body
Mhm.
moves. We got a quick question here.
You guys
Just
ever do a
a
whole
workout.
workout, but mentally, do you think it's possible to? What do you mean by that? Do you guys ever
I think he.
understand the question?
I think he means a whole body workout.
Oh, a full body workout.
Yeah.
Do you ever do a full body workout?
I mean, I don't.
Actually,
Go
you
ahead.
don't. All pretty much all my workouts are full body workouts. Um, I my workout structure is basically 6 exercises, 3 and 3, and I do a triplex. So
Hmm.
basically, like a superset, one after the other, 3 times, and then I go into the next triplex. Triplex meaning 3 exercises, um, and I just do them one after the other. So instead of the traditional like, uh, okay, I'm gonna do deadlifts now,
Yeah.
and you do your set of deadlifts, and rest for a minute or two, and then do another set of deadlift. Um, I go into the. I have like, let's see, like um, basically, I'm trying to remember what I did yesterday. So I did like Nordic curls. I don't know if you're familiar with those, which is like the hamstring one with the bent knee, and I did pull-ups, and I did an ankle plank, right? So I'll start with the ankle plank, right? So that is more of like a corrective exercise to like certain wake up, for lack of a better term, certain muscles that are weaker in my body, and then I go into a bigger lift or exercise like the Nordic curls or the pull-ups, and I do that back to back. Yeah.
Nice. Um,
Or I'll have the third set, like the second exercise, be a bigger exercise, like like a deadlift or Nordics, whatever. So first exercise is like a corrective or an activation.
yeah.
Second exercise is like a big exercise, and then the third one would be uh, also mobility, like an active mobility drill.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the mobility stuff you do, like pistol squats, for example?
No, actually, what I do is like you could say like a reverse tabletop, an elephant walk. I don't know if you're familiar with the elephant walk. So an elephant walk is basically like a forward fold where you're like stretching your legs, palms on the floor, and then you're just walking with that. Um, Reverse tabletop is where you're like stretching your whole front of your body, anterior chain, um, and lifting up your hips, coming back down. Uh, what else do I do? Yeah, I try to incorporate basically for mobility. I have it that it's part of the triplex, and that it's part of what the part of the workout itself, instead of leaving it at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, that way it's like I gain range of motion, but then I also use the range of motion that I just gained. So I gain strength in that range of
I
motion.
like that. That's smart. I like that a
Yeah,
lot. Excuse me.
yeah.
Um, What I was gonna say when we were asked that original question is I don't do like the standard bro split is what I was trying to say. So I don't have like an arms day, a leg day, a back day.
Okay.
I don't do that. What I do is I'll go to the gym, like I said, 3 days a week. So I alternate between workout A and workout B. So
Hmm.
one week will be workout A, workout B, workout A, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then next week will be workout B, workout A, workout B, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Hmm.
So I switch between those. Now, workout A right now for me is more of push muscles. So I'll do like chest, I'll do triceps, I'll do shoulders, but then my workout B will be more pull muscles. So I throw my legs in there too. I'll do legs and back and biceps. This way I can still hit all the muscle groups that I want to hit. And I'm doing it in essentially two different workouts as opposed to like before I really got into fasting. I would do just the standard bro split. I was going to the gym like 6 days a week. I would have like a arms day, a shoulders day, a chest day, back day. And it was miserable, to be honest. I was a slave to my fitness. And if I
Why was
skipped,
it miserable?
well, if I skipped so much as one workout, I would noticeably lose gains. And the reason why I didn't figure out until later, but it was because I wasn't actually getting stronger. I was just filling up my muscles with so much mass, like blood and volume from my workouts as opposed to actually getting stronger, which
Hmm.
fasting has helped me to do because fasting promotes muscle retention.
Right.
So it was kind of like this crazy awakening to me because, when I was a kid, I was always like this really skinny, scrawny kid. Like I had small shoulders. I was like almost embarrassed to take my shirt off in public. So if you would have told me back then, like, hey, if you fast, you'll actually be able to gain muscle easier. Like
Yeah.
if you would have told me that back then, I would have been like, there's no chance, like you are smoking crack. But it turns out it's actually true. And again, this is
That's
something
the
you
hardest thing
never
to cut
learn.
from, right? Like
Yeah.
nutrition wise, like especially if you started out um in a practice or in an industry, um, learning it a certain way, those initial ways of learning it can be so hard to um, unlearn and relearn in a different way.
Yeah.
Right? That's why they say actually a lot of like women in the military do better than men in the military, because men would be like boys in terms of like their training, because they like played with guns when they were kids and stuff like that. So this they just shoot it around. They didn't learn it properly, so they already had like a bad foundation. Whereas women, because they didn't have those toys, don't quote me on this analogy by the way, but just follow along with me. Um, because women didn't learn it a certain way, they have an empty cup, and so they get the foundation um, with just a more robust foundation.
Yeah. I get
Yeah.
what you're saying. I mean, you're generalizing, but you're making a good point by doing that. So I definitely understand. I think everyone that's watching this will get what you're trying to say, and that's wise. I definitely understand that. Someone sent me a direct message, like a direct question on here. I didn't even know that was something that's possible. I think it was one of your followers. He
Oh.
asked me, "How do you stay motivated to continue working out in the long run, like a lifestyle? Any tips?" So I wanted to address this question really
Mhm.
quickly because I want to make the point that motivation, this concept of motivation, is it's kind of garbage because motivation wears off after a
Yeah.
while. Motivation doesn't get it done in the long run. It can for the day or for the week or for the month, but to keep it a lifestyle, motivation can't be in your vocabulary. I prefer to use the word drive.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, for me, it's um, for me, it's more the I have a system and I have an intention.
yeah,
And so if you have a system in place, it's like, what are you worried about motivation, dummy? Like, just work the system in a
exactly.
sense.
That's what I mean by
You know what I
drive.
mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
the drive to do that. Like you have the drive to breathe. You don't have to get motivated to breathe because you know that if you don't, after like 5 minutes, you're gonna die. Or
Right.
many minutes. Uh, but yeah, so you have the drive. You have to have the drive to do these things. And if it starts off as motivation, that's fine. But eventually, that motivation has to adapt and change into something else. And I
Yeah.
like the words that you use, having a system in place, so that it's not just like, oh, I need to get motivated for my system. Like, you don't have to get motivated to do your day-to-day life, do you?
Right.
No, because it's a system that you
Yes.
follow. It's your lifestyle. So
Yes.
I hope that
Yeah.
answers the question.
Yeah. When you systemize it in a way, and you just work the system, it makes it easier for a person to have for it to have less emotional weight of
Yes.
this like daunting thing. Like, I need this extreme motivation and
Yeah.
energy to stay committed to
And what if
and
I
it,
do? What if I don't? Like, no.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, you know, try to have, that serious matter, yet be devoted to it. And honestly, the easiest way to be devoted and committed to it is for you not to have that emotional weight with it. I don't know if that makes sense to people.
Yeah, you have to detach from it emotionally, because if you don't detach from it emotionally, when you fail, which happens occasionally, you're going to
Sure.
feel like a failure. And
Yeah.
if you feel like a failure, then you're going to go all the way back to square one, which,
Hmm.
if you allow yourself to do that, then it'll be this never ending cycle of, oh, I'm getting in shape. Now I'm getting out of shape. Now I'm getting in shape again. Okay, now I'm getting back out of shape. And it's like the standard New Year's resolutioner logic. Like, they go to
Right.
the gym in January because they're like, New Year, new me. I'm going to go hard. I have all this motivation. And then come the end of January or the end of February or whatever, um, they lose that motivation and they just stop going to the gym. They quit. And
Right.
the reason why they quit so hard is because they were emotionally attached to this motivation like feeling that they had. Maybe they
Yeah.
bought all these workout clothes, they started meal prepping, and then they don't use that stuff anymore and they feel like a failure. Well, you can't
Yeah.
allow yourself to do that. I mean, I understand that it's normal and it happens. Like, don't beat yourself up for feeling like a failure. I mean, it happens to me all the time. Like, I'm not above this, guys. Like, I literally have a job where sometimes, like, if I don't close a deal that I wanted to close, I will, like, have a little pity party for myself. But I only let that happen for like a couple minutes max, and then you have to shift your focus and get like back on the horse, so to speak.
Yes.
Like, these are
Yes.
normal human emotions. You can't hide from or like be in denial of these like natural human feelings that you have, but you have to be able to recognize it and pivot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really it. It's how it's, like, I think it's Winston Churchill that has a saying like, failure, success is just going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It's that ability to pivot, as you say. It's like, okay, cool, you feel sad about it or whatever, and then just move on to the next thing. It doesn't mean that you don't feel whatever that you're feeling. Embrace your emotions, whatever
Yeah,
you
embrace it
do.
for sure.
Yeah, but then get back up on the horse. Um, don't fall in love with sulking. I think is what I'm getting at here.
It is easy to
Um,
do that, man. That is
yeah,
a don't fall in love with sulking. That's huge. You're gonna have to
yeah,
journal that.
yeah. I know, right?
No, it is actually very true, because once you're feeling down on yourself and feeling bad, like that Eeyore mentality, Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
Hmm.
Once you're in that space, it's very easy to stay there and be like, oh, I hate myself. I'm miserable. This sucks. It's
Hmm.
hard to want to pivot back to a a present moment, like being in the present moment is basically what I'm trying to say. So
Yes.
the last thing that we can leave off here with is kind of tell us how you do that. Like, how do you pivot back to the present moment mentality?
I don't know if my brother Corey's here. He's gonna call me like such a traditional spiritual teacher for it, but meditation, really. I'm
How,
a big believer in that meditation is the foundation, um, um, because it really allows you to just recognize like, okay, my mind is going there at this point.
Right.
Um, and it allows you to process things. I think um, as a man, it can be harder to like embrace our emotions,
Yeah.
right? And so for me, that's why with meditation, it's like by sitting and choosing to just do nothing and sit with myself, the emotions that I'm like hiding from come up, and or the mental things that they just come up, and they just get processed. I don't have to do anything about them. It's like that my digestive system. My digestive system just works naturally and it digests. It's a similar thing with mentally. If we just like give ourselves the space to not distract ourselves, not do anything, then things just get processed mentally by themselves. And once those things are processed, you just jump back on the horse because you've dealt with them, right?
Yeah.
Now you're not like also grinding yourself to be like, I need to go back on the horse.
Uh-oh, not again. I think I'm losing him again, guys. Hopefully it's not my service. We'll see if he can hop back on here. Here we go. Guys, send a message in the chat if you can see him.
And we're back.
Good, okay.
It's funny, I have to keep tapping the screen to keep it open, or else it like locks, and then I have to do the whole thing again. Anyway, so what I was saying with like the whole meditation thing is because you process things, um, uh, you don't have to like grind yourself to like jump back on track.
Yeah,
It's like you've processed it already, and then so it becomes so much more effortless for you to jump back on track.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. What about you? What's your tool for going back on track? And
Yeah, so I was going to say breathing. Breathing is huge for me.
mm,
I do 15 minutes of breath work every single day.
mm-hmm.
Um, I started off with about 5 minutes of breathing exercises. So, like deep breaths, similar to Wim Hof breathing. Possible breaths I can, and exhaling to the most that I possibly can till I can't anymore, like sizzling at the end till I'm all out of air. I
Can you
do.
repeat that? It cut off for a sec.
Yeah, I was saying that I do breathing exercises. I do 15 minutes of breath work every single day. So I do 5 minutes of breathing exercises, like hard breathing exercises, where I'm actually like, how do I say this? Doing a full VO2 max, essentially exercise workout where I'm taking in the fullest breaths that I can, sipping at the top, like, and then exhaling out as much as I can, and then sizzling all the air out at the end. So I'll do exercises like that for 5 minutes. Then I'll do 5 minutes of meditation breathing. So 7 counts in, holding for 7 counts, and then out for 7 counts and holding. And then after that 5 minute meditation, I'll do 5 minutes of static breath holds. And a
Of what
lot
breath
of people,
holds?
what's that?
Would you say what breath holds?
5 minutes of static breath holds. So
Stag?
stagnetic, or
Okay.
I'm losing my uh, static is the word I was trying to say.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Static breath holds. So I'll do 1 or 2 warm-up sets where I'll hold my breath for about 30 to 60 seconds, and then I'll do 2 or 3 sets of holding my breath for as long as I can. Um, And this is a great way. So let me put it this way. The reason why I do the static breath hold is not like the benefit doesn't come from the holding your breath, although that does give you some like mental strength because you know that your body wants to breathe, but you're not letting it. So it does give you mental strength. But the reason why I do the static breath holds is because of when you finally release at the end, the intuitive breathing that you do at the end of a very long static breath hold is um, great for cell oxidation. The oxygen goes straight to your brain. You just feel so alive. So that's a great way that I kind of maximize on my meditation because, like I said, I'll do the breathing exercises first, like the VO2 max exercises. Then I'll do the 5 minutes of meditation, and then I'll do the 5 minutes of um, the static breath holds. And so I do those. I do that every single day. But if I'm finding myself getting to a point where I'm getting stressed about something, just taking a few deep breaths will put me right
Yeah.
back into that space.
Yeah, I heard a beautiful analogy recently from a guy that is like a breathwork practitioner and teacher, where he told me that the breath is basically our like barometer of like how we're doing, and I love that. Like it's like the dashboard in the car. You know,
Right.
when you want to check into how your body's feeling and what you're thinking, check in with your breath. Um, because it'll tell you if you know your breath is shallow, you're probably stressed out. If you're having a lot of breath, so you're also stressed out. So checking in with your breath regularly will just allow you that awareness, give you that awareness to like how your body's feeling. Not only that, just like how you mentioned, it's like the biggest hack for energy, right? You, it's like instead of having a coffee or whatever, you do these breathing exercises, you feel energized, now you're good to go.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing.
for sure. Well, hey man, this conversation has been awesome. I feel like we could talk all day. We have a lot of things we agree on, which is great. We'll have to do this again sometime.
For
Um,
sure.
is there anything that you want to promote on here before we go ahead and get off here? I know everyone that's going to be watching this later, feel free to obviously follow his Instagram. Anything else that you'd like to promote?
No, I'm just gonna let people know that like I'm an open book. Anybody has any questions or even if they're having any injuries and they want like some kind of physical assessment or you know, any health related questions, any well-being questions, they can shoot me a message anytime. And I would suggest for my people to do the same for to you because I mean you're a pretty dope guy.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. If you guys are watching this from his channel, go ahead and follow my Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be reposting this on my YouTube channel as well. Be on the lookout for my book that I'm going to come out with soon. I will be talking
What's your
about
book called?
fasting in that book. I'm not going to give away the title yet,
Okay.
but it'll be obvious once you see it. But I'm going to be it. The primary premise of the book is fasting. I talk about mental, emotional, and spiritual health in there too. But I stick to the things that I know to be facts. So this will be a great book for people who are getting into this and that want to start learning more about fasting. So that, and then I also have supplements that I sell if you are interested in like customizable vitamins, um, or if you do want to take um, like protein or like appetite suppressants, you can visit my website. That's mensorfit.idlife.com. And the link to that is in my Instagram as well.
Okay. Dope.
Awesome. Well, hey, this has been a great conversation, dude. And let's stay in touch. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Thank you
Peace
so much
out.
for your time, man.
Yes. Thank you. You have a good one.
You too.